Since its burst to the limelight at the height of the pandemic, we've seen how the desk setup movement has become a global trend, and more people are expressing themselves through their setups. Having jumped on the bandwagon in late 2020, my desk setup has gone through a few iterations, and for the first time I can say it's almost getting to that sweet spot. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as I'll be taking you through every step of the journey. Being a digital creator, I've come to appreciate the importance of a good desk setup, which enables me to connect with my space through the different elements that keep my creative juices flowing. These are functionality, cohesiveness, aesthetics, and a touch of nature to soften the grandeur and boldness of all the tech in my setup. This here is my desk setup tour for 2023, but before I go on, I want to put a disclaimer that a lot of the items you see in here I've acquired over time and are things that I've wanted and not necessarily need, even though they play a part in my productivity. That said and done, if you're interested in any of the items, I'll leave a link in the description box, and as always, timestamps are in the description below. With that out of the way, buckle up and let's go for the ride. Starting off with the design process. Now, for the most part, I've gone with the same theme I went for in my previous setup, which mainly entailed walnut, bronze, black, and some greenery to bring the space to life. If you'd like a step-by-step guide on how to go about this, check out this video, the ultimate desk setup guide for beginners. To start us off, we'll start with the desk. At the heart of my setup is my dual sit stand desk from Decor. Constructed on a steel frame, it comes with 4 programmable settings and has a press interface that has been so easy to adjust by simply holding the up and down buttons or by using my preferred programmable settings to get to the seating and standing heights. I've got it set to 2 presets when I'm seated or standing, even though I've got the option to set up to 4 presets. The motorized foundation lifts quietly at the press of a button, which is great for when I decide to work while standing. Speaking of standing, it can be a little bit hard on the soles of your feet, especially after standing for a while, and that's where my anti-fatigue standing desk mat from Temple & Webster comes in. Made out of a thick and dense foam that is so soft to the touch, it helps take away the pressure from the soles of my feet. Attached to the frame is a cable management tray, but more on that a little later in the video. On either side of the frames I've got IKEA Alex drawers, which were initially white, but I spray painted them black, and in all honesty, not the best paint job, but they have held up so well. Just in case you forgot to subscribe, I've got an update lined up for the entire home office, and trust me, you wouldn't want to miss out on that. Moving on to the desktop, I'm rocking the IKEA Caldigit countertop, which, as most of you would attest, is one of the top 5 items in a YouTuber's starter kit. It measures 190 cm in length and 80 cm in depth, which provides plenty of space for me to work on and also house some of my accessories and peripherals. Moving on to the display of the setup, my monitor of choice is the Samsung Odyssey Neo G9, which is an upgrade from the Samsung C4 9J89. The Samsung Odyssey Neo G9 has been worth the upgrade, and for few good reasons. Being a digital creator, it comes in clutch thanks to its screen real estate, which enables me to navigate through my timelines with so much ease. Secondly, having considered getting 2 27-inch monitors side by side, the thought of the bezel in the middle didn't sit right with me, which brings me to the next point, aesthetics. Besides its main role of functionality, having a monitor that flows well with my setup adds to the overall aesthetic appeal of my space. In terms of display, the text is more crisp and there's less pixelation on the images compared with the Samsung C4 9J89 I previously used. From an ergonomic standpoint, its 1000R curvature matches the field of view of the human eye, which allows for a comfortable viewing experience whilst using the monitor. For those who might not know, when you view a flat screen monitor for an extended period of time, your eyes make small but continual focus shifts that lead to increased fatigue. This monitor's curved display has helped my eyes maintain a constant focus across the entire screen, resulting in less fatigue and a more comfortable viewing experience. In addition to that, its mini LED backlight that includes 2048 local dimming zones has been an absolute game changer, especially for a true HDR visual like myself when consuming content. Speaking of HDR, Samsung does list support for what appears to be their own in-house HDR standard Quantum HDR 2000, which if you'd ask me, I'd say looks pretty impressive. Do keep in mind though, the impressive 2000 nits are limited to HDR contents, but when I switch to SDR content, which I look at majority of the time, I'm more than happy with the 400 nits of peak brightness I get. It does have great aesthetics, and I love the glossy white plastic outer housing, which opens up to this futuristic infinity core lighting, and although not significant when it comes to its illumination, I do like how you can customize the color to match that of the screen or set it to RGB. If you'd like an in-depth look at it, I'll leave a link of the review in the description box. While on the subject of monitors, we might as well talk about the monitor arm I'm using. I'm a big advocate of monitor arms owing to the fact that they add so much ergonomics to any monitor setup by allowing continuous adjustments and orientations. Case in point, I'm able to adjust my monitor farther back, closer to my face, swivel left or right, and that allows for the ultimate user experience. I'm rocking the HX Ergotron monitor arm as it can handle some of the heaviest monitors in the game, and even though it's a bit on the pricier side, its quality, strength and durability are a good return on investment. I also like it because of its cable management capabilities. As we all know, the cable mesh starts from the I/O plugged into the computer, but thanks to its cable management channels, the cables are neatly directed to the cable management tray. Speaking of cable management, this is an area most desk setups struggle with, and I've had my fair share of the struggle. A quick tip here, only one cable needs to come out of your desk to the main power outlet, and this can be made a lot easier with the help of a cable management tray. The one I use has an added advantage as it's got power port slots and I have power sockets in them, which enables me plug most of my accessories and peripherals, therefore avoiding too many cables running to the main power outlet. Another thing to note is, if you have a sit stand desk, it needs to be at the maximum height to ensure the single cable coming out of the desk is lengthy enough so that when switching to your standing preset, you don't end up unplugging it from the socket. When it comes to your tools of trade in this department, they vary depending on your setup, although the staples are zip ties, cable clips, double-sided tape, velcro tape, cable raceways, just to name but a few. A saying that best sums up cable management: out of sight, out of mind. Thank me later. Moving on to the driving force of the setup, my computer of choice is the M1 Mac Mini with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. I've been using it for a little over a year now, and even though for the most part it does everything I need of it, it started feeling the heat with the dreaded wheel of death popping up every now and then, which got me thinking what would be the best upgrade to replace it. As it stands, I've been contemplating between the M2 Mac Mini or the Mac Studio with the M1 Max chip, but I haven't decided yet. Sub to the channel so that you don't miss out when that drops. In saying that, my M1 Mac Mini has been coping well with everything I've thrown at it, from 4K edits, graphic intense timelines, and even rendering massive projects. For someone still using the Intel-based Macs looking to upgrade your computer, getting the M2 Mac Mini would be a good steal. When it comes to my secondary workstation, I'm using the M1 Macbook Pro and I got a refurbished one. It's been absolutely punching and I don't see myself upgrading for the foreseeable future. It's like the M1 Mac Mini but on a higher dose of steroids, and it makes light work of anything I throw at it, from editing photos in Lightroom Classics to 4K edits, pretty much anywhere I decide to work from. If you'd like to have an in-depth look at it, I'll leave a link of the review in the description box. Moving along, like they say, sound is 50% of the viewing experience, and for me to give you guys good quality sound to go with the videos, I had to set up a well-oiled audio machine, with one of the key components being my Kanto YU2 speakers. While audio perception is subjective, there's certainly a baseline on what's good and what's not, in which case the fundamental guidelines should always be clarity, detail, dynamic range and clear separation between the audio frequencies. In the case of these speakers, I've been getting the bang for my buck as they produce really good quality sound. Besides their main function of providing good quality sound, I like how they perfectly blend into the black and walnut theme. They do come in a variety of colors like black, white, oak, red, etc, and you can always choose one that matches your setup aesthetically. I use this for video editing a lot, and the sound is super accurate for me to monitor my audio levels, the only caveat being they don't pack that much bass. As for the price, they sit at the premium budget end of the market and they would set you back around 500 Australian dollars, which is about 338 American dollars. To elevate them to the perfect angle, I placed them on these black speaker stands from Amazon. Still on audio, when I'm not using my desktop speakers, I usually use my Airpod Max, which I wear when refining my voiceovers, and despite carrying a considerable amount of weight, I find them the comfiest headphones for my big head. The only gripe I have over them is there's no way to switch them off, and there have been a few occasions after a couple of days without use, I chucked them on and they were completely flat. Apple fixing that would be a good update, because from the look of things, they have been on the back burner of the Apple product releases, so hopefully a software update or a Gen 2 release with that capability can solve the issue. To finish off the audio setup, I'm still rocking the Blue Yeti microphone, but not for long as I've got the Shure SM7B, which I'll be setting up in my home office and desk setup update video. Even though I'm upgrading, the Blue Yeti is no mic to sleep on. It's quite affordable and it's been giving me good quality sound for my voiceovers, just like the one you're listening to. It has a variety of techie audio patterns when it comes to audio recordings. However, cardioid mode is the best when it comes to what I do. I've got it mounted on a cheap boom amp that is also due for an upgrade as the springs are slowly giving in and it feels a little bit flimsy. When it comes to connecting the mic to my computer, I use a single micro USB cable that goes into my Caldigit TS3 Plus Thunderbolt dock. While on the subject of the Caldigit TS3 dock, we might as well talk about the accessories and peripherals as it falls right in there. With so many accessories on my desk, my M1 Mac Mini doesn't have enough ports to fit all of them, and that's where this dongle on steroids comes in. If you've been watching desk setup videos on YouTube for a while, I'm sure you've seen this dongle a few times, and here's why. Just with one single cord, it does enable me connect my peripherals to my computer, therefore helping me minimize the cable mess. It comes with 15 connectivity points, 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, a display port, 5 standard USB-A ports, 2 USB-C ports, an Ethernet port, an SD card reader that can even read UHS 2 cards, and optical audio and stereo in and out. It's been an absolute force in my content creation machine, and I highly recommend getting one. Next to the Caldigit TS3 Plus, I have my Grovemade monitor riser. Over the past few years, many YouTubers have added this to their setups, and despite the premium price point, its quality speaks for itself. It's made from premium hardwood plywood and natural cork stained with Japanese calligraphy ink. I like the walnut color as it adds a warm and natural look to my space, which elevates the overall aesthetic of my desk setup. As for function, it can act as a speaker stand, although I don't use it that way since I got a super ultra wide and it clears the entire riser. I also use it occasionally as a makeshift phone stand by leaning my phone on it. It also has storage compartments which I use for various things like shelving my M1 Macbook Pro, docking my M1 Mac Mini, and also my desk tray compartment, which I'll be talking about in just a bit. Speaking of the desk tray compartment, I have my Grovemade desk tray slotted in there, and this is another staple across many setups on YouTube. Made from aluminum and cork material, it provides a soft and protective bed for my desk essentials like pens and sticky notes. It comes with 4 pockets designed to accommodate and help organize the things I need the most. Moving along, next in line is my Steampunk Keyboard. Enclosed in a walnut stained wood chassis, this mechanical keyboard embodies the true elements of the neo-Victorian era. The walnut stain brings out the grain on the wood, which is hand sanded and sealed with linseed oil for a rich, lustrous finish. Starting from the top moving down, a melange of little knickknacks complement the rounded keycaps that have a brass outer ring and a slight divot to them, which allows for my fingers to fit in perfectly. It's got additional accessories in the form of this riveted cylinder, which I use to store my pens and pencils. Right in the middle we've got this crank that I use to turn on the dimmable lights, and next to it this clock which adds an additional timepiece with a bit of that retro element. Being a person who also loves design, it adds that Victorian look to my desk, and the brass embellishments together with the walnut perfectly tie well with the theme of my desk. When it comes to functionality, it's delivering the goods, and typing on it has been so satisfying thanks to the clicky switches it comes with. And while on the subject of typing, we might as well touch on its actuation force. Having chosen Automi Blue switches, the actuation force is about 60 grams and a bottom out force of the same amount, which is ideal for someone like me with normal typing habits. To cap it off, it's also got my initials engraved on it, which not only adds a personal touch, but also emphasizes the rarity of this keyboard. Moving further down, we have the keyboard wrist rest. Made from solid hardwood and stained in walnut, it continues with the woody theme of the setup. Being a person who's big on health and fitness, it adds the much needed ergonomics to my desk. At the heart of it sits a foam padding upholstered with supple vegetable tan leather and has these triangular patterns that add an interesting design element. All these enclosed in a wooden chassis that's got a bit of a dome shape to it. Moving slightly across, we have my mousepad, mouse, and wrist rest. These 3 items work in tandem to ensure I chip away at whatever task I got at hand, whilst ensuring my wrist stays healthy. The mouse being the main driver in this area, I put my grey MX Master 3 on ice for a little bit, mainly for aesthetics, but it wouldn't be for long as I'll be getting a black MX Master 3S in a few days. Still on the subject of the mouse, I'm using a Steampunk mouse which may not have the customization of the MX Master 3, but in terms of aesthetics it blows it off the park. I know that's not a good judgment metric, but as long as it does the job, that's all I need. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. To cap this segment off, I intentionally got a black wrist from Delta Hub since it flows well with the theme of the desk. And just a disclaimer, this isn't a sponsored message from Delta Hub, it's just my own opinion, and I think they have some of the best wrist rests in the game and they are quite affordable as well. Next up, we've got my desk mat. To add visual structure to my setup, I've got this desk mat from Minimal Desk and they do come in a variety of sizes. Besides providing visual structure, it also helps me avoid scratching my desk. These are not designed for gaming because I do find sliding the mouse on them not as smooth, but I personally enjoy the wool surface feeling when sliding the mouse and the extra space it gives me to hold some of my accessories. Up next, we have my Magsafe and charger. Specifically purpose-built to capitalize on the speed and convenience of Magsafe charging while also being a delight to use is this Magsafe stand from Grovemade. Its solid steel base securely anchors my devices, and the hand-sanded hardwood and vegetable tanned leather create a unique modern look. As for the Apple Magsafe charger, it's fast and snappy. It's perfectly aligned magnets attached to my phone and provide me with fast wireless charging of up to 15 watts. One of the reasons I got it apart from its charging component, when working, I usually have my phone on silent with very limited notifications, but every notification that comes through, I either pick it up and have a look or kind of lean over the phone to see what the message was. Whereas now, I can just glance towards it and it unlocks with Face ID, allowing me to preview the messages. Moving back in line, we have my monitor light of choice, the Benq Screenbar Halo. This monitor light has become so popular in recent years, and despite not being so cheap, most tech YouTubers rock it in their setups. Besides its main function of lighting up the cockpit of my desk, I like how it protects my eyes through its asymmetric light pattern that minimizes glare on the screen, and the coolest thing about it, it's got a wireless controller. I love how I can place it anywhere on the desk and it looks awesome and clean without a cable attached to it. You can turn it on by hovering over the sensor, and from there you can adjust the brightness, temperature, or just set it to auto and it will adjust the best settings for you. It fits on most monitors, but it's also got a special adapter for a curved monitor like mine. Another unique feature is that it's got a light on the counterweight to light up the wall to further reduce eye strain. Right on top of the Benq Screenbar Halo, I've got my Insta 360 link. This has been one of the latest additions to my setup, and boy have I been impressed. With features like face tracking, zoom in and out, all by use of hand gestures, my Zoom calls are about to go to the next level, and that's not all. Thanks to its AI capabilities, I'm able to explain things on my whiteboard with so much ease. If you'd like a deep dive into it, I'll leave a link of the review in the description box. Moving on to the softer side of things, amidst all the grandeur and boldness of the tech, trickles in the subtlety and softness that is my little plant collection. The most conspicuous being this levitating plant that not only embodies the woody theme of the space, but is also the perfect conversation starter. Its gentle infinite rotations evoke a very ethereal calm to the space while working and also inspire Edison-like creativity throughout the day. Next up is the famous IKEA plant that almost all YouTubers have on their desk, and in my reckoning, no desk setup is complete without at least one of these. And for that reason, I got two of them. Moving on to decor, the only decorated piece is this vintage telephone, and boy, what drama and character does this bring to this setup. I mean, just look at this. Its bronze and black undertones perfectly tying with the color scheme of the space, and next to that steampunk keyboard, I mean, it's just class. Quick design tip here, repetition creates rhythm, and to put that into perspective, the bronze and black undertones on the keyboard tie in well with those on the vintage telephone, and the walnut and black is consistent throughout my home office. I have no doubt you'd agree with me, a setup isn't complete without a nice comfy chair. In my case, I've got the IMS replica office chair, and boy doesn't it scream class. Aesthetically, it blends so well with the ongoing theme, and in terms of ergonomics, it ticks all the boxes, and I don't see myself changing it for the foreseeable future. That sums up my desk setup tour for now, and as it stands, it's slowly edging closer to that sweet spot, but there will be a few changes with the final few pieces coming not so long from now, so make sure you subscribe to see the next setup video. If you've enjoyed this iteration, leave a thumbs up in the comment section. People of the internet, I'm signing out, see you on the next one.